Hello, good morning, everyone. Um, I'm gonna start here in just a few seconds. I'm setting up my other screen here. So welcome everyone to yet another session of Festo Connect and Learn. This week we have a very interesting topic. Nowadays cobots and robots, that the whole topic is it's been gaining a lot of traction, although this is technology that has been around for years now, right? But we wanted to show a new development that we've been working on at Festo. So let me share this particular screen. You probably were able to join this session because you came across this this invitation somewhere. I mean, Facebook or LinkedIn or somewhere. And what we're going to be showing here today is how to extend the robot reach, right? And specifically, we're going to be talking about one particular brand of robots, but we wanted to show how easy this implementation is done now, right? In the past, it took a little bit more effort in terms of programming and the whole implementation on the electrical side. But what we did is we worked on making this easier for everyone. So Alejandro is going to be joining us shortly. He's just working on something, but he's going to be joining in the next few minutes, and he's going to be showing us the actual hardware. But before we go into that, I'm going to show you what this is, right? What this whole concept is about. Now, if for some reason you have to step out or you're going to miss a certain portion of this presentation, I just want to remind you that this is being recorded, and usually we post this later on YouTube, so you can always check the presentations there. One other thing that I wanted to mention is this session, the way that we do it is, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt us at any time. You can unmute yourself. You can type in the questions in the chat, and we'll address them, okay? I wanted to make that clear. And I think the last portion that I wanted to mention here is you can always reach out to us. If you have any specific questions later on, let's say tomorrow or the day after, you're like, that wasn't very clear. Like, I have a question about this. Our email addresses are there. You can always reach out to us, okay? Perfect. So having said that, let me just jump into this. So FMCP plus FMCP UR. What is this? FMCP stands for Festo Motion Control Package, okay? And basically, it's a package that you get. In this particular case, because it's FMCP-UR, in this case, it works with UR robots, okay? What does it do? We're going to cover that in just a second. So what this does is that we are able to incorporate a 7th axis into the UR robot. How are we doing this, or how do we do this? We're going to talk about this here in just a second. Why would you do this? If you think about it, the main challenge for robots, for 6-axis robots, is that usually they are stationary, right? So you put them in certain in a certain point of the machine, and that's it. They're there and they have a certain reach. So what we did here is we incorporated a 7th axis that allows you to have a reach of up to 8.5 meters. So you see this axis here, this one over here, this one can be up to 8.5 meters in stroke, right? So that's a ton. Now picture, if you think about, well, why or when would I use this, right? That might be your question. When will you use this? Well, think about, for example, a palletizing application like we're showing here, right? You have like a conveyor where the boxes or packages are coming through, or any sort of product. You grab it from there and you put it somewhere else, right? That could be it, or also for palletizing, as I have here. So you can put it on a pallet, you can stack it. Actually, I'm going to show you a video on that. The other very interesting application is to think about machine tending also. So think about having a CNC machine, right? This is actually a very good application for these kind of robots. You have a CNC machine, and you know that usually you put in the raw material there, and then what happens is that you have to wait for a certain time for the G-code to finish. Once it finishes, you can open the door and then grab the part, and et cetera, right? Now, with a robot, what you can do is you can automate this, right? So you can send a signal to close the door, or actually have the robot pick up the raw material, put it inside of the machine, close the door, and so on. The thing is that usually if you have one of these robots, it's stationary, right? So it's right there, meaning that you have to have a dedicated robot per machine, right? Now, think about what if I have two machines, right? Now, with a solution like this, well, you could have one robot working with the two different machines, which is great. You're reducing your costs. Okay, so let's keep going here. Not gonna go. Maybe if you have questions about the electrical portion, we can talk about this. But I'm just gonna show a couple of things. What we did here is we are directly integrating between the control panel that you get with the UR robot and our control panel, right? So there's nothing crazy that you have to design or do or come up with. Everything is pre-done for you. It's just basically a plug-and-play solution. There's also, of course, in terms of safety, there's a safety circuit which is optional that you could include in the FMCP or in the Festo solution on the control panel. That's something that you can include. Now, how does it look like on the electrical side, on the control side? It looks something like this. So you see on the top, you get that's usually the control panel that you get with the UR robot. On the bottom, you have the Festo panel. So the nice thing is that we design it in such a way that it's can fit, it's stackable, right? So you can put one on top of the other. Okay, so that's how it looks. Now let's talk about what it is. We already mentioned a couple of things. So what is it? FMCP UR. FMCP UR, it's basically a control panel that includes the drive for the 7th axis. It includes a motion controller that we're using to do the handshake between the UR and the Festo axis. The other thing that this has is there's some software preloaded on the motion controller, which you can use for certain applications like pick and place. And the other thing is you can see all the way on the bottom, and this is I think this is a very pleasant surprise for this particular talk, is that we've been working for a little while on the UR caps implementation, meaning that you remember at the very beginning I mentioned you don't have to worry about the software side and doing all of this crazy stuff and managing the bits and bytes. This means that you can directly manipulate the 7th axis from Festo directly on the teach pendant. So you actually have the menus and everything is there. And I'll show you an example. So if we were to open that Festo control panel and see what's in there, it will look something like this. Not necessarily exactly like this, but something like this. So on the right-hand side, you have the servo drive for the 7th axis. Let's say you are only using one. And then you have the controller that I mentioned, and you have some other very basic electrical components, you know, circuit breakers and so on. Okay, so I already mentioned most of these points, but I have them there just in case. Okay, keep going. So the UR integration, let's talk about this. So very easy to install in terms of how it was designed to be stackable. Here's the other thing. No, not this, not this. The other thing that I was going to show is this. So on the teach pendant, this is how it looks like. So you have a UR cap for the Festo 7th axis, and you know what? I don't want to bore you with details on just a few slides. And let me show you a video of how this looks like. Where do I have that? Here. By the way, can someone just help me and type in the chat if you can see the screen there right now that says Festo 7th axis for UR with Festo motion control package? I just want to make sure that I haven't been talking. Okay, awesome, perfect.
It's just black right now.
Yeah. Okay, it's just a surprise factor, you know. I'm going to unveil it. So this is what it is. Let me play this video for you. So you can see here what we have is that actuator assembly. So everything is pre-sized for the different sizes of robots. This is exactly the palletizing application that I was talking about earlier. So you have one robot tending, let's say, 2 machines. In this case, we just developed something to show it. The motor, it's pre-selected, pre-assembled. It comes with the energy chain. So as I mentioned, this is really cool because everything is pre-done, right? So this is a teach pendant, and I think I'm going to pause it here. So for those of you guys that are more on the control side or are are programmers, you're gonna see the huge benefit about this, because you don't have to touch anything, like anything in terms of, oh, I gotta parameterize this servo motor, I have to tune the servo motor, I have to select which axis it is. Everything is pre-done for you, okay? So basically what you do, in case that, I mean, I don't know if everyone on the call has done this before, but programming a robot is very easy, right? So you basically, what you do is you teach the robot waypoints. So you say, okay, this is the first waypoint, the second waypoint, and then what you do is you build a sequence. So you say, okay, execute this, and execute the following. The same thing we did with the 7th axis solution. What we did is that you can easily integrate that linear move for the 7th axis in your sequence directly in the teach pendant. So this is a really big thing. Simplifies things. Okay. So let me keep playing this. So what you do here is you add that linear move, right? You specify axis speed or velocity, acceleration, and position, and then that's it. I mean, you're basically teaching it the next position, right? So in this case, what we do is we say, okay, robot, move to this waypoint, then execute a 7th axis move, and then do another thing, activate the vacuum, and so on. But I see that Alejandro just joined now, so guys, if you've been into one of our previous sessions, you know that usually what we try to do is not to bore you to death with like fantasizing about things like, oh yeah, look at these pretty PowerPoint slides and look at this pretty brochure and stuff like that. So now let's see it in real life, right? Let's see the physical hardware. I think Alejandro is joining. I don't know if you can see his cameras here. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
You guys hear me now?
We hear you, Alejandro.
Hey, how are you guys?
Yeah, good.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. Sorry to be late. We're just trying to support some other customers in the field. So great. It's nice to see everybody on the call. As Sandro was mentioning, this is our live demo. So just to give you a quick intro, mechanical axis at the bottom, horizontal, and we also have a vertical axis. In this case, we're only running one, but we can go up to 2 axes controlled by the UR. On the UR right now, we have a UR5, and then standard gripper with vacuum and so on. So let me go back to the pendant right now. Sandro, you see my other screen, right?
Yes, we do, and I can spotlight whichever you want.
Yeah, okay, 1 second. Let me just try to...
So while Alejandro is getting that ready there, so you can see that, you can see what I was showing you on drawings and everything. Now you can see the physical hardware, right? So you have there on the bottom, I think you can barely see it there.
Let me show you the cabinet, if you guys want to take a quick look.
Sure.
So, the UR, yeah, UR right here, and then the FMCP UR at the bottom. As Sandro was mentioning earlier, all the connections point are ready to go. So you see here the bolts ready to receive the UR cabinet, and we have also the Modbus communication as well as the safety connection. So that's more or less. It's a pretty nice cabinet that nicely standing up, and then the stackable solution is actually pretty good too. In terms of the safety, right now, the whole safety is controlled by the UR. So when we hit the E-stop from the UR, our motors and drives gets automatically off by the safe door cuff function. And then we can rearm right away. Yeah.
Right, and that was mentioned on one of the slides that I showed you earlier, where and I guess I didn't mention that specifically, but the safety is tied up, right? So you don't have to handle them separately. Everything is part of one system, which is great because that's exactly what you want building a machine, right? So here, Alejandro, I'm spotlighting there your teach pendant. Yeah, and
let's talk about this a little bit. Maybe for people that are familiar with the UR, you can always configure the waypoints the same way. However, here on the UR caps, there is one called the move type and position for the FMCP UR. And then let me just go down here. So let's say I pick any linear movement. So from here, I can select the type of movement I want. So we have 2 options. One is linear move and force move. The force move will basically apply a force directly on the axis. Let's say the robot is doing something and you need an extra force while the robot is in standstill for everything to be pushing, let's say inserting something in a place, then the axis can take care of that. Otherwise, a linear move is what you're looking for. From here, I can directly jog the axis. Maybe you can see the axis now being jogged directly from the pendant. And then I can move to a particular position. So in this case, I can tell instead of going to 1650, I'm going to go to 1000. Sorry, 1000. And then I'll move there.
So you can command point-to-point moves, right, with the 7th axis. So one thing that I mentioned earlier, Alejandro, was that this is truly a plug-and-play solution, right? I mean, what the customer will get is that control panel, the axis. They will just basically mount the axis and the control panel, plug everything, and that's it. They don't have to configure anything on the Festo side, correct?
No. Yeah, correct. Exactly. That's what you're saying is true. So the cabinet is pre-configured, preloaded with the program. You can select the stroke that you want directly from the UR caps, and then the rest is up to you on the pendant directly. We run on linear. Maybe some people can ask, okay, are you interpolating between the robot and the 7th axis? No. In this particular application, for a simple solution, we want to keep it as a point-to-point. That means that you can just send the positions directly, keep the robot stationary and place it in a different spot, then run the robot and go back and forth.
Okay.
So it's not a full interpolation. We also have the capabilities to do full interpolation in this particular application, and the demo that we want to show is a point-to-point.
Can you run a sequence right now? I have spotlighted your the camera that you have on top where you can see the whole system. So if you can run a sequence, so we can talk a little bit about what's going on here for those people that join later, and you can see what we've been talking about.
Sure.
So here, what's happening is you can see that UR robot is mounted onto an axis on the bottom, and what we do is right now, you're going to see that 7th axis move to a different position. When it reaches that position. Yeah, he activated the vacuum, I guess, so that's what happened. So when he moves to that position, what the robot is going to do is, I believe it's just going to drop the box at one point, but everything is controlled. Oh, there you go. So it's just grabbing the box and carrying it on top of the plexiglass. But what we're doing is everything is controlled from the UR main controller, right? So
exactly. There's no PLC. There's no additional PLC. There's no external controller. All the logic is running directly on Polyscope. And then one thing about this is when you hit the E-stop, the E-stop kills everything. Right now, the E-stop is directly commanding the axis from Festo as well as the UR. There's no additional safety relay. So as soon as I release the E-stop, clear the error, start the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just finish this here. And then from here, I should be able to start running the program. So what the idea is, let's say you have a safety scanner, like this one, if you spotlight the main video.
Yeah.
So the safety scanner like this will be normally connected to an additional PLC or an additional safety relay or a safety PLC. In this case, we can connect this guy directly to the UR and then move from there. So all the safety is really controlled by the UR directly.
Right. I see that we do have a few participants online, and I wanted to ask to the audience if, I mean, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can unmute yourself, you can type it in the chat, but I had a question for you guys. Do you see this useful, or is this just a dream of us where we're saying, oh, this is so cool? Because honestly, the first time that I saw it, I was like, you know what, this is great because you're simplifying things. In the past, you will have to do that implementation separately. It's a little bit tougher. It requires more time, and there's a lot of room for error, right? Like one person, one programmer could do it one way, and another programmer could do it another way. So what do you guys think? What are your feelings if about this solution. If you want to mute yourself, that's fine. If you want to type it in the chat, we can also talk about that. So we have a comment there. It says integration to the UR software and pendant is great. And Eric, you're totally right. I am glad to read that, because when I was having this discussion with Alejandro on the early stages about this, we were like, is this truly something that customers are going to appreciate, or are they just like, whatever, man? I mean, it's just one other thing, right? But every time that we show this to someone, they're like,
yeah,
I need one. Like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what we wanted to show you today. You know, usually these presentations, we try to do them very, very quickly, so we don't spend a lot of time with you guys. But feel free to ask any additional questions that you might have. I think it's really great that Alejandro has the hardware live right now, so we can break it, or try to break it at least.
Yeah,
there's another
about, yeah, go ahead.
Are other robot makers on your roadmap? That's a good question, Alejandro, and this is something that we have been discussing.
Yes, actually, we want to integrate our 7-axis with multiple robots in the market. The good thing about this is we interface with multiple protocols, and we can connect with Profinet, Ethernet IP, EtherCAT directly, or Modbus TCP, as is doing it right now. So if your robot like a KUKA that runs EtherCAT, or maybe ABB that runs Ethernet IP or Profinet, we can always connect to. Sometimes we have to maybe work a little bit more on the function block, then we can help you to get it integrated. But the mapping is structured inside the FMCP UR. It's also broadcasted to different protocols. So some people will say, well, you know what? I don't have an industrial PLC. Can I connect over Modbus TCP? Can I connect over OPC UA? That's another option too. OPC UA is also available. There's an interface for that. And instead of running on Modbus TCP, you can push the information through OPC UA. And then you can run, let's say, Node.js or Python software, and you can develop your own structure to control the axis directly. Yeah.
Right. We have another question. What do you have for documentation on the whole system?
Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, what do you have for documentation on the whole system?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have PSI, which is like a product
brochure
information. Yeah, brochure. Yeah. We also have the mapping. We actually have a microsite where you can download the files. You can download the documentation available for it, and we can actually give you the code that is running inside in case you want to explore a little bit more and so on. Everything is running on PLC open, so all the program is fully open. If you want to really get into it, get deeper into it and play more, you're more than welcome to do it. We can pass you some information. There's another question about run any orientation vertical and upside down. Yes, actually our axis right now, if you can see it, is moving horizontal, but we also have a vertical axis right here. So these axes actually can go up and down. In this application, we didn't want it to do it because we want to demonstrate only one axis, but you can get rid of this and mount it fully vertical on the horizontal, which is a heavy duty axis to be able to cover all the load. And yeah, no problem. And the axis actually can be upside down. So you can mount the robot here and move the arm and move everything to a different location. So that's also possible.
And that's a great question, because we usually get that, like, oh, my machine is not like that in that setting, right? We have another question. It says, can you demo the 7th axis stopping when the UR safety stops after collaborative hit?
So basically when it's running, I guess.
Right. So
like in this case.
Right. So I think he refers like
this way. When I hold it, when I hit this guy, right? So we have couple options for that particular behavior. One is if the safety is detected by this robot and I want the axis automatically shut off, the safety outputs from the robot will automatically kill it. But you also have an option to be directly controlled regardless of the operation of the robot. So we have two options. So that's to answer your question.
The next question is, are there plans to have the solution listed on the UR Plus ecosystem?
Just before we get into that, Justin, is that clear for you, or you want me to go?
Yeah, he actually typed in yes like that, so I think he was good.
Okay, great. Okay, great. The other question is, are there plans to have the solution listed on the UR Plus ecosystem? Yes. The UR cap actually is now being evaluated by the UR people, and then will be listed in the ecosystem. That's definitely the idea. We want to make this fully available for people that can, get the UR caps, get the FMCP UR, and load it.
Right.
It should be fairly simple to do it.
Yeah, and I think this is for the people on this call live right now. This, you're getting a sneak peek of what's coming, right? In terms of being able to have it right there listed on the UR Plus ecosystem.
Yeah.
So okay, perfect. I think those were great questions. And actually, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hey, Alejandro, could you just to do a motion on top of one another? Could you run that UR cap that you have in a thread so that it runs, so the robot is in motion while the 7th axis is in motion?
Yes, that's possible too. Because the code running in a thread in the JavaScript at the back, in the back end, it's possible to do it. So in fact, because the UR caps is developed by us, we can kind of give you the whole code. If you are familiar and you want to maybe push a little bit more information out it, it's possible. But yeah, the thread can run in the background in a different loop, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
In a different thread, right?
Yeah.
This package can be, you can use any robot from UR, any size?
Yes, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Sandro, can you pull up the presentation in the last page?
Sure.
We actually have a pre-configured combinations, so you don't have to calculate anything in terms of the load because we did that for you. So let's say a UR5 or UR3 E-series or standard series, we give you some options. So if you can see from the screen that is being shared, you have options for the UR model. So Sandro, if you bring the pointer, red pointer, and in the first column, we have the UR3 and 3E series. And if you go down, you will see the axis on the Y and axis on the Z. So that means the axis on the Y is the horizontal axis. We already pre-calculated all the forces and so on. So you can see that the EGC from Festo 125 heavy duty is the one taking care of that. And you can extend the length up to the maximum that is possible from our catalog pages. On the vertical axis as well. So if you want to run the axis in vertical, then use, and the UR3, let's say, we calculated for the ELCC. It's a standard solution, but you can also configure yourself and give us the options that you probably want to use, and we can get back to you and help you.
And Alejandro, one thing that I wanted to mention also and point out from this particular table is that if you're familiar with the Festo actuator line, you'll notice that we're using standard components. So that is also a big thing, because if you think about it, you can get this all around the world. Wherever Festo is, which is all around the world, you can get these components as well. And the rest of the stuff is software, right? So if you wanted to do this implementation in China or in India or in Australia, you can get the components, right? So that's the beauty. This is not custom, like, oh, I'm gonna create this custom actuator with this custom pitch and so on, right? Everything is standard.
Exactly. One more thing is from the UR caps, you will be able to see actual position, faults and things like that. Let me see. So pretty much everything is on the UR caps, but we always have a web server running in the background. So the web server running in the Festo controller allows you to see way more information that normally we don't broadcast through the network.
Right.
So the idea is that if you're familiar with Festo devices and you want to learn more about it, PLC open programming is what you need to do. And once you get into it, we can share all the code, and then you can get more and more familiar.
Right. Alejandro, I want to make sure that we don't miss this question. So let me mention this one. Is this also going to be available through Robotique?
Yeah, Robotique is a different company. We work with them in a few things. They work on their own. They have some solutions. If it's related to Robotique, you have to talk to them directly.
Right.
Because they have their own also application and software. They're actually pretty good on software.
Right. The other question is there, by Peter as well,
Deflection
is
for
there any
this.
chart showing deflection for this system? I mean, internally, I know that I've seen some of these calculations. I don't think that we have this included in any of the external documentation, but
But
if
if
there's a
it's
particular,
required, yeah, we
yes,
can.
if there's a specific thing that we want to review, we can do that. Internally, we
Yeah,
have all of the calculations for the multiple
yeah,
axis.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
there's another question. Will there be an online configurator available to Festo distributors to identify pricing for the solution, knowing that the stroke is always variable?
Yeah, I'll let you answer that if you want.
Yeah, so I think from a commercial standpoint, if this is coming from a Festo distributor, this is going to be handled through customer solutions. So it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So yes, I mean, if you quote the same system today and tomorrow, it's going to be the same price depending of the calculations that we do. But I don't foresee that we're going to have an online configurator in the short term. It's going to be handled like any other customer solutions request, if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that process, which is basically just sending an inquiry, and then we'll take care of it, and then we'll get back to you with a quote.
yeah. I think at the beginning of this, we want to make sure that customers are fully sure on all the calculations. So we want to work very close with them, and at some point they can take off, and then we can let them continue. That's on the commercial and also on the engineering side.
Right.
There's one question about, other than looking at the EGC, LCC, yes. We can look at other models. Maybe if you feel that maybe the EGC or ELCC is not what you're looking for because of the protection, maybe the mounting path or something else, we can always help you, because the idea for this is the FMCP UR, it's one, the mechanics is another one. We want to make sure that both connects together. So if there's anything that doesn't match with the Festo standard catalog, we can always customize something, or just, you know, walk you through the normal configurations that are available from other parts from the catalog.
The next question is also on the commercial and operation side. What are you targeting for lead time, ARO? I think so the lead time that we would see, it's around, I would say probably 3 or 4 weeks usually, or something similar to what you see on an actuator, if it has to be if it has to be built custom, like at a custom stroke. But if it's something standard, like a standard stroke, then we can probably shorten that lead time significantly. The nice thing about this is, if you think about it, it's not like, oh, we have to tweak the software, or oh, we have to develop a whole library for this application. Everything is pre-done, right? So that's the nice thing.
Yeah, we use a standard libraries point to point in this case. So all the libraries in the controller are fully available from our website anyways. So in case you can see maybe a different application or something else that you can develop on your own and you're fully capable to do it, then always the libraries are available. So we're not developing anything really specific here for this. We want to make sure that integration is simpler and easier, and also understandable in terms of, you know, capacity, troubleshooting, local support, and so on.
Alejandro, we have one pending question, but I just wanted to mention we are over time, but I just wanted to put that out there. We can still hang around for a little while. The other question that we have, or comment, is it would be nice if we had some standard options for the controller and actuator options. We, Festo distributors, are used to picking out electrical axis for applications. Yes, so the plan is to have something like the screen that I showed you earlier, where you have a table and you have the different sizes of the robot and the different combinations of the axis. If it was something outside of this range, like let's say you're a Festo distributor and you're like, no, you know what, this customer really, really loves this other kind of actuator, then in those cases, what we will have to do is do a lot of more hand-holding, because we have to recalculate the mechanical portion, right? The software side, I'm not worried at all, because it's the same thing. I'm commanding movements to one point or the other. The mechanical side might be the one that if we get out of the standard, then it requires a little bit more of intervention.
Yeah. The other thing is about the controller, options on the controller and actuator. We're actually running on CMMT controllers right now. So those are servo drives from Festo, standard. We have some options, but we want to keep it a standard on CMMT controllers that runs on EtherCAT and everything else. So we always have multiple options. The idea here, guys, is not to have too many options. We want to have one option that fits in the market that can help you to install this and have it to work easily and quicker. And out of that, if you have any customization around that, we can always work with. Yeah.
Right. The other comment that we have is I'm more thinking so that it doesn't need to be a CS solution, not so much that it needs to be different actuator drive sizes or families. Oh, okay, yeah. That Peter is actually our dream. We want this to be able to be a standard solution. So we're strongly. Yeah, we're strongly pushing for this, but first we gotta do baby steps, right? So we're starting here. We're getting some traction already. I do foresee, and because we're pushing on this, I do foresee that in the future this could be a possibility.
Yeah, that's what we're actually doing on the FMCP concept globally. Anyways.
Right. But anyways,
nice question, actually, by the way.
Huh? Yeah,
nice
that's a good question. By the way. Yeah. Anyways, we are over time, so we're gonna hang around for maybe a few more minutes. I don't know, 3 minutes or 5 minutes. If you're interested in listening to the Spanish version of this same presentation, you can hang around. We're gonna start that in 25 minutes.
Vamos a practicar mi español con todo.
Sí. But thank you all very much for joining. Make sure to keep following the Festo Connect and Learn. We're usually coming up with these different topics. If you check out the Festo US YouTube site, you're going to see a playlist there that says Festo Connect and Learn, and that has all of the different sessions that we've done before. We have sessions on IO Link, we have sessions on gantry systems, we have sessions on multiple things. So thanks again for joining, and we'll see you in the next session. All right?
Okay, thanks for everybody.
Hey, Jimmy. All right, thank you guys.
Okay,
bye-bye.
Thank you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.